I asked them, you know that John 3:16, did Jesus come to save the whole world? And they'll regurgitate a lie. They'll double down on a lie and reinforce a lie, right? But this is why the prophets are out, right? To do what? Tear down strongholds. Because no lie is of the truth, right? And it says that in the book of John 17:17, right? About the truth, right? Let me get this real quick. Because no lie is of the truth. This would lose our people, right? They don't want to come back into the knowledge of who they are, which is the truth, right? This is John 17:17. Let me bring it out. Sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. What? Let me bring this out one more time. This is John chapter 17, verse 17. And it reads, sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth, right? A lot of our people, all they do is tell lies, regurgitate lies. Why? Because they studied at the feet of the father of lies, the so-called white man. He tells you that he's white. And our people will regurgitate and give life to the lie and start using these terms, right? They'll never seek out the etymology like the Lord's elect, right? It said that the elect have the unction to know all things, right? The Most High is the God of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So he doesn't want his people to just be gullible and naive, right? And open prey to their enemies round about. But this is what eludes them. This is why they have no cover, right? Jeremiah 4:22, it says, my people are wise to do evil, but to do good, they have no knowledge. Why? Because they have to be taught again, right? Let me bring this out in the book of Psalms 119 and 142, right? Let me bring this out in the book of Psalms as it pertains to the truth, right? Because John 17:17 says, sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth, and that word sanctify means to make clean, right? A lot of our people, they subscribe to this doctrine that you should go to some dirty river, preferably the Jordan River, and dunk yourself in water for the remission of sins, right? When that symbolic act, if you want to make the internal change, right, sanctify, make clean your mind, because that is truly the seat that controls the whole entire body, right? It said that in Jeremiah 17:9. It said the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. So what you want to cleanse, right? Sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth, right? And once you come to the awakening of who you are and what's required, you repent, you make supplications. Then if you want to take that act of going and doing that symbolic act of dunking yourself in water, hey, by all means. But it's a symbolic gesture that should indicate a spiritual change, right? It's like being circumcised. You know, it says that in the book of Romans 2:25, Ephesians 2:11, right? It talks about you can be circumcised on the 8th day. You can have an Israelite mother and an Israelite father. But your circumcision will be made uncircumcision if your deeds do not reflect that of being an Israelite from your respective tribe, right? But let me bring this out one more time. Psalms 119 and 142. Bear with me, Akim, based on the truth. This is Psalms chapter 119 and verse 142. It says, thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth, right? Thy law is the truth, right? This is why Jeremiah 16:19 said the Israelites will come from the end of the earth, saying, surely our fathers have inherited lies, the Gentiles, right? This is a twofold. Not only the Israelite foreigners that'll be brought back into the fold, but also the natural heathen. Every knee shall bow and every tongue will confess. Our power is coming back to take all these kings and these powers of the earth out of power and dragging them into what? Subjugation. Right? Sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. Right? And in the age of voting, right? Because right now, this is an election year. So Esau Edom, he's already starting to kick up a lot of dust, bring forth a lot of topics and talking points to engage Israelites, right? And one of them is reparations. The idea that damn near half a millennia of the worst treatment, oppression, rape, robbery, enslavement, castration, and terrorism, that they can actually make a settlement with our people, right? And this is exactly what they are presenting. So our people could engage in this political process of voting, right? Let me bring this out in the book of Deuteronomy 17 and 15 as it pertains to voting, right? Because the Bible tells us we were sold to our enemies. We were brought to the shores of America as a punishment. But our people, they've been deceived into thinking that they're American and they can join a political process, right, in a infrastructure that was built off of the backs of their forefathers and mothers. How shameful. Our people have no integrity, no racial, no nationalistic identity. Our people are constantly going around the earth trying to find some movement, some nation that they could join into. Why? Because their history, their identity, they said, you know what? That means nothing to me. And most of all, their power. They constantly turn their back to him and his men that are out here just to attempt, right, through the power spirit of Yahweh Shah, to open up their eyes to who they are, right? But hey, like it says in prophecy, Zechariah 13 and 8, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die. Why? Because they love not the knowledge of the Holy One of Israel, right? But as it pertains to voting, right, our people are supposed to be apolitical. Our people are supposed to be separate and set apart, patiently waiting for the Most High to do what? That which he's promised in his word, in the word of prophecy. To do what? Redeem us and save us from the hands of our enemy, right? Clean us off, right? The whole head is sick. We're defiled in this place, right? And we need healing. And the scriptures already said that, hey, this is exactly what's going to happen, right? As we come into obedience, like it says in Deuteronomy 30 and 5, the curses are going to fall off of us. And as we can see, they're going to fall onto our enemies, right? This is the faith and the patience of the saints, right? But that word patience means to suffer. A lot of our people, they get tired of suffering. Like that person that's in jail. You know, even though he's been sentenced and he has the time, sometimes people will try to escape jail. They'll try to break out of jail. And usually what'll happen, they'll get them and you'll be brought back and you'll have to serve more time because you'll get more charges if you make it back alive, right? Let me bring this out real quick. This is Deuteronomy chapter 17 and verse 15, and it reads, it says, thou shalt in any wise, well, I'm going to start with verse, this is Deuteronomy 17 and verse 13. This is Deuteronomy 17 and 13, and it reads, and all the people shall hear and fear and do no more presumptuously. Train. Once again, as it pertains to voting, in the law, it tells us the mind that we should be in. Deuteronomy 4 and 5 lets us know. Let me bring that out first, and I'll just jump right back. Because we're still under the law, so wherever we're scattered, we're supposed to observe the law to the best of our abilities. Right? I think it's Romans 13 tells us that the powers that be are ordained of the Most High. So we're supposed to observe these laws, keep these laws, as long as they don't impose on our laws. Right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 5. It says, behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye shall do so in the land whither you shall go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, For this is your wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all of these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great who hath God so nigh unto them as the Lord our God is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great that have statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law which I set before you this day? Right? So whatever land we were supposed to go into, we're supposed to observe these great laws. Like it says in 2 Esdras 5, and I believe it's 28. The law that's approved above all, that was given to us for our good. Right? If we were to observe the law, our women were covering themselves as far as our customary laws. We have a dress code. Right? If our women were covering their heads and weren't wearing clothes that provoke men to lust, they would be getting more respect. Our men would be getting more respect. If our men weren't walking around with their booty cheeks out, sagging. If our men weren't walking around here being witches and warlocks, these nations round about would say, damn, these people are observing their laws. This is a wise and understanding people. Look how clean they are. Look at their communities. Look how good they get along together. Look at how their businesses are flourishing. Right? Even their animals, look how healthy they are. Even though this isn't what we should be trying to do is prosper, but in Deuteronomy 4 and 5, the Most High let us know, right? After he delivered us out of the hand of those Egyptians, he said whatever land we're supposed to go to possess it, to take into our possession, he said, hey, keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. Then these heathen roundabout won't be wagging and hissing, saying, damn, is this the perfection of beauty? Is this who the Lord calls after his name? Is this who we surname? Is this Yasharallah? Like it says in the book of Lamentations, they wag, they hiss. But no, if we were to observe these commandments, even in the earth, we would be elevated over these heathen, right? And in our rightful position. But because sin, we actually envied the devil, and we actually sought out many inventions. Look at the condition that we're in. Although we're not in a chattel slavery, I would argue that it's probably worse now than in the days of segregation. Why? Because our people don't have a knowledge of who they are, right? They're not unified, right? They've been deceived into thinking that they're in some utopia, where it's a post-racial society, let bygones be bygones. When things were segregated, our people saw the truth, right? They knew who their enemy was. But through integration, hey, that put our people into a deep sleep. Shout out to Martin Luther King. Right? Stanley Livingston came up with this poem, and our, people, they swallowed this hook, line, and sinker, thinking that this post-racial society where all nations could come together can actually be brought to fruition. It could be made into a reality. When right now, people are more confused than they ever were. Right? The love of many are waxing cold. Everyone is just worrying about their people, taking whatever they can to their quarter and preparing. Right? There's no honesty in the land. Why? Because the people that should be establishing honesty, righteousness, and order, right? It said the whole foundations are out of course. Why? Because the Lord's people have forsaken their position as the rulers of this universe, right? In our Father's house there are many mansions. Those mansions are other planets within our solar system, right? Other galaxies that we actually will have access to. Once we get our glorified body, these chains of darkness, written up in Jude 1 and 6, it will not be able to inherit all of the good things that the Most High has in store for us, right? This is why we'll be caught up in the air and changed in the twinkling of an eye. The strangeness of our salvation. Why? Because, hey, we still have a responsibility to uphold righteousness and rule the universe according to the righteous laws of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ba'ashem Rahabah Kadash. Right? We slaves now, but we're going to be trading places. right? The Most High is already pouring out his spirit on his elect. So we already feel that power, right? Even though we are base slaves in this place, we don't, half of us don't have a window to throw the piss out of or a pot to piss in. But we have been reunited with who we are, right? That's the analogy. You know, you have an elephant. He doesn't know who he is, so you can actually chain that elephant to a little pole. And through the dispensation of time, the elephant, even though he has the strength to just yank that post out of the ground, he's not even gonna try, because he hasn't came back into the knowledge that you are pachydermist, nigga. You are a pachyderm. Look at that thick skin, look at that trunk, look at them thick legs. Man, you could go berserk. And every now and then at these circuses, that's what'll happen. These elephants that allow this little handler to poke him with a stick, beat him across his back. Hey, that's that cup of trembling written of in the scriptures, right? The Most High put that cup of trembling in the hand of our whole entire nation. Our bounds were set as pursuant to Deuteronomy, to Daniel, the 7th chapter, the 18th verse, that we couldn't pass it. Just like us standing as an exceeding great army in this time. That's because it's the Most High's determination according to prophecy, that in this time, this is when I'm gonna release the captives. And this time, this is when the captives are gonna go out and teach. And this time, I'm gonna shut their mouths up as pursuant to Amos 8 and 11. And this time, I'm gonna put my spirit on them to execute vengeance, like it says in Ezekiel 25 and 12, Zechariah 9 and 12. So this is why we watch as well as pray. Like it says in the book of Esdras, measure the time diligently to see where we at. We measuring, right? Even when it comes down to that implantable mark, the sea hip, written of in Revelation 13 and 16. We see that the infrastructure is being laid for that as well. So as we measure the time, we know that we are in the 11th hour. Even the heathen on the left-hand side have a doomsday clock, where they're measuring the time wherein thermonuclear war will actually be induced and start across the whole earth. So just like on the left-hand side, they have wise men, mighty men, economists. On the right-hand side, the Most High, right? He has prophets. In any society, any nation, the prophet is among even the kings and the princes, right? It says that in the book of Amos 3 and 7. The Most High reveals his secrets to who? His servants, the prophets, right? So the secret even down to the end time, right? It said no man knows the day or the hour, but we know that we are close. Our salvation is nearer than we believe, right? So that's enough for us to, as prisoners of hope, to continue, right? To ask the Most High to create in us a clean heart and renew the right spirit in us, right? Renew the right spirit in you, where you stay dedicated to your vocation as a prophet of doing what? The work of an evangelist, doing the work of a minister, right? Doing the work of a servant of Yahweh while Yahweh shine, to wake up your people. That's a beautiful thing. And some are being marked for life, some being marked for death. But hey, we even coming out to get the bloods off of our hand, because this is why we're prisoners of hope. We don't have a ticket off of this particular hellhole, this prison, right? And this is why those Mississippi mud bugs, these sound crazy, saying, hey, what do you mean prisoners of hope? What do you mean fake? Y'all speaking like y'all have a ticket on the chariot. You're speaking like you the elect, boy. And that's a very proud, scary place to be, right? The Most High wants you to be like that woman that has been given that bill of divorce after your husband saw you getting a train ran on you by the whole football team. Is that a woman that'll come back into her man's house? Nah, I know I'm good. I know I'm obedient. What you mean? You still got cum dripping on the side of your face, ho? That ain't dried up. But this is why our people need to be of a broken and contrite spirit. The scriptures say knowledge puffeth up. Once Jake coming to the knowledge of being an Israelite, and he could retain a level of knowledge. And then not only that, he could profit from the teachings and teach others. Sometimes Jake will start to think that they can usurp authority over their teachers. They think that they've transcended beyond the men that have been laboring. And we understand it's the spirit that quickeneth. The flesh profit of nothing, John 6:63. So there will be men, right, that come in at the ninth hour. The elect are of a quick understanding. And guess what? They will automatically be able to resonate with the information. They're not going to have to wrestle and have teeth pulled to get it. But integrity, character, standards, principles, morals, values, appreciation goes an awful long way. And there are men that, hey, y'all lack appreciation. You know, y'all never had y'all spirit broken by your fathers. A lot of you men weren't raised by men. You never had to listen to a man. You never had your ass whooped or your spirit broken by a man. So when you come into the ministry, you take on the same persona as that rebellious nigga woman. Here it is, you come crouching, brother, brother, brother. And once you start to matriculate and elevate in knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from the men around you, what do you start trying to do? Point out flaws within their character. Change their doctrine up. Seek things above your strength. Try to create some groundbreaking, innovative doctrine, right? And in my young time, I've seen this over and over and over again, right? But that's the whole reason why we should, like I said, continue to stay humble, right? And stay patient, right? And the so-called white man, he's made over 350 covenants, pacts, and agreements with the Native American Indians from 1778 until the mid-1870s. And how many of those agreements and those covenants, in those pacts, did he honor? Right now, the so-called white man, he's actually having conversations in San Francisco of recompensating or settling with the descendants of slaves here in America $5 million, right? $5 million is a lump payment, as well as $97,000 annually for the term of 250 years, right? They want to alleviate any tax debt that you have, right? Even down to letting people buy homes for $1, right? So if he didn't give you 40 acres and a mule, right, and he didn't keep that agreement, a lot of people, while this society's, credit-based system is circling the drain. Look at the banking system right now. Just this week, a lot of banks, they're in the red, right? The markets are crashing, but they're coming up with these conversations about how to rectify a half a millennia of damage, hurt, terrorism. And they're actually coming to present these different suggestions to the government. Right, and like I said, California, once policies start in California and New York, they pretty much spread across Babylon. But right now, like I said, with it being an election year, with this country's monetary system, the central banks, trillions of dollars in debt as it is, right? Creating money out of thin air, inflation, the derivatives bubble, kicking the can down the road. But in the midst of this country, in the midst of this country facing economic upheaval, financial woes, right? They are coming to our people with this talking point of reparations. And with our people being at the bottom facet of all, with our people being at the bottom of all facets of society, right? Every department, every faculty within this society, our people are at the bottom. Our people are languishing. Right, the curses of Deuteronomy are apparently on us. right? These conversations are what will bring our people back into that political arena. Oh, $5 million a person, $97,000 is an annual residual payment for 250 years. This is what's on the table for a conversation. This is what's in negotiations, right? Not to have to pay taxes, you know, with our people being the most affected, you know, by evictions, the most homeless, you know, oh, being able to buy a house for $1. A lot of people, they will just want to know where do they need to sign, right? But we're here to let you know, hey, that you shouldn't be naive, you shouldn't be gullible, as the Native Americans were, as we are the Native Americans. They turned a lot of reservations into plantations. But through the dispensation of time, our people have been deceived to think that we were sold by our foremothers in Africa. Forefathers in Africa, when we're not African, neither is that our land. Right? Galatians 4 and 26 let you know that Jerusalem is the mother of us all. Right? Jerusalem is the mother of us all. That's our motherland. Right? But this is a heavy stumbling block to our people. Right? And let me bring this out. I was bringing this out in 1 Corinthians 2 and 11. This is a heavy stumbling block to our people. The mind that they should be in the land of their captivity, right? As it pertains to reparations, let me bring this out. That Satan should get an advantage of us. 2 Corinthians 2 and 11 reads, lest Satan shall get an advantage of us. For we are not ignorant of his devices. We're not gullible. We're not naive, right? Just like Anthony Fauci and Kizzmekia Corbett, right? That was the head of the Center for Disease Control, the World Health Organization. But what did Anthony Fauci do? He got a nigger woman by the name of Kizzmekia Corbett to do what? Push these devices on our people, a biochemical attack. No different from the crack epidemic, where you actually induce our people chemically and attack them, their biology, right, with drugs and chemicals, right? But a chemically induced attack on our people, right? Anthony Fauci used a nigger woman, Kizzmekia Corbett, to influence our people into doing what? Taking one of his devices, right? Just like during the time of the Tuskegee experiment, you had a nigger woman that Esau employed by the name of Eunice Rivers. She was the nurse that was actually injecting those farmers with syphilis, gonorrhea, herpes simplex. So Ecclesiastes 1 and 9, there's nothing new under the sun. The same way during the days of Tuskegee, the so-called white man will roll out with these little schemes and promote them as something that will benefit us. Oh, take the vaccine. You don't want to catch this. Right? Tuskegee experiment. What were they doing? Right? Those men didn't even have any venereal diseases, but they were actually administering them and actually infecting them with the disease to see the long-term and short-term effects of these diseases on men. Right? So that just lets you know that the so-called white man, he's not innovative in his dealing. The same schemes that he used 100 years ago, he'll use again in this time, right? Even during the time of the COVID, a lot of people were bringing to light the Tuskegee experiment, right? A lot of people were referencing the Tuskegee experiment. Why will we take these vaccines from these people when they won't give us anything to benefit us? If the white man say free food, it's gonna be some pork, something that's already a day after expiration. Just like right now, if a so-called white man walks up the block and give anything, I won't give a damn if it's free hugs, right? He gonna put something gonna hop off of him onto you, right? But this is not the mentality that our people operate in. Our people choose to be gullible. Our people choose to be naive. Our people choose to trust in their oppression. Half a millennia, rape, castration, right? How was the wealth for this country generated? Right? All the heathens say they come to America for opportunity, right? How did America become wealthy? Let's talk about the rape, the robbery, the castration. You don't have accounts payable, right? You got a big bustling business and you don't got to pay your employees, right? But people will look past all of the treachery, all of the barbarism, all of the castration, all of the terrorism, and think that they could come to America and establish some type of socio-economic base, right? Would you go to, you know, Normandy, right? You wouldn't go to where those Jews had their Holocaust and say, I'm coming here for opportunity, right? After the Germans had raped them and got rich off of them. But a lot of people will look past the worst atrocity in the known world and say, hey, let bygones be bygones. As a matter of fact, this is a post-racial society. Even though their forefathers and foremothers subjugated my people and all of the wealth that they stole from us, there it is, right? The land that they stole, there it is. You have to interface with your open enemy. The Jews don't even have to do that. They had an opportunity to separate. How can we heal when we have to constantly engage them and talk to them on the job, in school, right? You can see the very descendants of the people that did this to us. That brings forth mental illness. When you go through traumatic experiences and you can't get the proper healing, the proper repair, you just got to suppress it and act like nothing's ever happened. That brings forth mental illness.
Jeremiah chapter 9. Jeremiah chapter 9.
All right.
Jeremiah chapter 9. Read it right now.
Now, right now I'm having a conversation, bro. Now I'm saying, let all things be done decently and in order. Don't interrupt the men in the midst of their speech. We're royalty. We say things like, excuse me. A simple excuse me. That's how brothers treat one another. You weren't raised by a pack of wolves, were you? That's right. Hey, because correction is love. Correction is love. Hey, and stay off of that shit, man.
What?
You got, you know what I'm saying? No, weed too.
No,
you clean. You need to make your vessel clean.
No, weed is not clean.
Once you add fire to that weed, it becomes a carcinogen.
No.
Weed, there's nothing wrong with weed. It's an herb. But once you put fire to something, it changes the biological composition of it. It becomes cancerous to your body.
You can't buy weed from everybody.
See, he don't want to be correct.
Now I buy weed from California,
hey,
Colorado.
Get off that shit and be clean. Repent and come back into the knowledge of being a royal priesthood. Right? You don't want to be out here in the street sloppy, right? Moving with no type of decorum.
Because I like that.
No, I'm just saying, I'm talking to you. The way that you move, brother, you're moving very unclean.
Okay.
It's not okay.
Okay.
You can do something about it. Right? Repenting, right? Do you know the name of your God? Do you know the name of your God?
Yeah, I know.
What name? Allah. See, this is why this nigga bugged out right now, calling on the God of the Arabs.
Oh, exactly.
The God of the Arabs.
How you know that?
Even Louis Farrakhan referred to the Bible. At least say you from the Nation of Islam or something. But hey, you are an Israelite. And the name of your power is Yahweh. That's the name you repent in. Tell them to get you clean in your mind, right? Because that's what's defiled, your mind. Get off of that shit because it's clouding your judgment. Look at how you operating and conducting yourself now. Not like a man with gray hair that's supposed to be operating with a level of wisdom.
I walk with wisdom every day.
No, you don't walk with wisdom.
Every time I see a young person on the train, I see a young person on the street, I talk to them, I interact with them, and they interact with me. So I'm stopping the violence.
But keep up the good work. But you can always do better, brother.
Better way.
What do you mean?
Better than revolution.
No, revolt against what? How you gonna revolt against what? What are you gonna revolt against?
Injustice.
How do you plan on revolting against injustice? What you want to do? Take up arms? Man, this nigga coming with that Grandmaster J spirit. Talking about revolting. Lee, how you gonna revolt? Man, a powerless slave. Hey, they'll blow a missile through your back from where they live at. Like the rap song say. Nigga, they make them gas. They got some shit that'll blow out your back from where they live at. But he talking about revolting. Everything pertaining to that black identity extremist mentality has been tried. right? Look at Grandmaster Jay. I'm talking about he's getting low. Grandmaster Jay has got very, very low. And we understand that he was controlled opposition, used to lead simple motherfuckers like that into a burning building, militarized niggas. And then Grandmaster Jay, just like IUIC, you got to submit your information. So you're in a registry, right? But you got Mark Mains like him that said that he don't need to do anything. It's time to revolt. And that's what we're talking about right now. You know, the scriptures tell us, should we be in the mind of revolting? Let's see what the scriptures say in the book of Zechariah 13 and 8. Should we be in the mind of revolting, taking up open arms? And just imagine, the so-called white man is licking his chops right now. The so-called white man is licking his chops right now at the idea of some niggas taking arms coming at him. When, guess what? Niggas got guns, but they don't even have a lot of bullets. They don't even know how to produce the bullets. Right here it is, they'll go to war and run out of bullets. And here it is, the white man, he stockpiles ammunition. He has a war chest, right? Guns, he actually passed them down as an inheritance, right? It said that in Genesis 27, it said, by the sword shall thou live, right? That's the so-called white man's gift, that sword, right? Let me get that real quick, right? And then we're gonna get that in the book of Job about that sword, right? This is Genesis chapter 27. He's talking about revolting with guns. That's the so-called white man's gift, and let me prove that. This is Genesis chapter 27 and verse 38, and it reads, and Esau said unto his father, hast thou one blessing, my father, to bless me, even me also, O my father? And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. All right, once again, this is Genesis 27 and 39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above. Here's the point. And by the sword shall thou live, and shall serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have dominion, that thou shalt break the yoke from off thy neck. See that? It said, for by the sword shalt thou live, right? And let me bring this out in the book of Psalms. Protect me from the wicked, which is thy sword. I believe it's Psalm 17 and 15, right? All right, this is Psalms chapter 17, verse 13. It says, arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down. Deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Right, the so-called white man is a sword of the Lord. He's the Most High's whipping stick. When his children get out of order, the Most High is not gonna push his hands through the cloud and pluck us. No, he's gonna put the spirit on the wicked to do what? Hey, punish us. You know, look what's happening in Mississippi. Right, there's a young man that has been beheaded. Right, the last person that he spoke to before his dismembered body was found was his mother. And he told his mother that he was being chased by Edomites, by these white guys that he worked with. Right, I think he worked at some type of body shop. But he said that they were trying to kill him while he was on the phone with his mother. He told his mother, if anything were to happen to me, these are the people that did it. And in these rural areas, these people that own a lot of acreage of land, especially the ones that are hunters, because Esau is a skillful hunter, right? He's skillfully deceitful. So as far as adventure outdoors, Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's, that's a major industry for us so-called white man. You know, where they could go buy their guns, their sportswear, their all-terrain off-road vehicles. down home blues. But the white man has several industries where he actually goes outdoors on the water, in the field, right, to do what? Hunt. You know, he's a man of the field, Esau Edom, right? Jacob was a plain man, being perfect, dwelling in tents, right? The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor. It says that in Proverbs 21:16. But with Esau being a man of the field, a skillfully deceitful hunter, what he does is he put in his land, on his acreage, he put deer cameras, right? So these are cameras that'll take still photos whenever the motion sensor gets triggered. So you'll know if you got different types of animals, you know, from bobcats to deer to bear. So they'll know the area that they need to go into to hunt and so on and so forth. Because they, the so-called white man, through the Homestead Act, they were given free land, right? Coming from World War II, even though we helped liberate those Jews, when those black POWs came back to America, they weren't given free land, mechanized farms, you know, interest-free loans from the bank. So right now, the so-called white man, he has a lot of land in his custody. But on this land, in relation to this young man that was beheaded, it said that in Mississippi, he was actually caught on a deer camera, running with no